Hello everyone, welcome to the Hope Collective. As you know, if you've been here before, I use my spiritual gifts to bring messages from the collective's spirit guides and higher selves through using tarot cards and oracle cards as a focal point. And I'm going to be using the Ostara Tarot as our deck for our significator cards, meaning the cards that indicate each pile for you to pick from, each group for you to pick from today. And today the intention is to bring through messages from goddess spirit guides. I work with a number of gods, goddesses, deities as my own spirit guides, and one of them came through earlier today advising and suggesting to do a pick a card, bringing messages through from them. So spirit guides, goddesses, show me which cards to use to indicate the piles for the goddess messages. Pick a card. Okay, they just had these three fan out. So we have piles 1, 2, and 3 here. And I am being advised to flip these over. Sometimes I do blind picks where you will find out what your significator card is at your pile, but I am being advised to flip these over. So we have the Emperor. It's been coming up so much in readings lately. We have the Three of Swords. And we have, is this upright or in reverse, Spirit? It's in reverse. Okay, we have the King of Wands in reverse. So take your time tuning into which pile or piles calls to you. You might have messages in multiple piles. You might have a ton of messages in one pile and a few messages in another. So take your time tuning into which group calls to you. And I will see you at the video for your group. I will be posting this introduction and group 1 today or tomorrow. And I'll record the other groups separately and post them separately and link them in the description box for each group once they are available. So let's get going with group 1. Are we starting with messages from the Ostara Tarot for this group, Spirit? Okay, yes. I'm being guided to shuffle this tarot deck more to get more messages. So what do the goddesses want to tell this group? Okay, we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. I think more messages are going to come through, but the first thing coming through for me is that the tendency and the conditioning to use masculine energy with the Emperor is blocking or inhibiting a certain level of abundance coming in with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. So the tendency to work until burnout, or to think that you need to figure out every problem instead of being open and receptive to solutions and making space for them to come in. Thinking that you need to go out and find each client instead of setting up a space where you can attract clients to come to you. Those are examples of the type of energy conflict that I'm getting from these two cards in conjunction here. The Emperor is upright, so because it's not in reverse, I don't think that you're necessarily suffering from a case of a true toxic level of that masculine energy. But relying on that too heavily or leaning into it too heavily could block you from your feminine energy of receiving more abundance. And help me with the words for that, Spirit. Could distract you from watering the crops that you already have with all of the harvest energy in this Queen of Pentacles. And the real attentive yet relaxed tending to the infant, the animals. There's a very soft protectiveness here. This queen is not going to let anything take the infant from her or the abundance from her. yet her eyes are closed. She is softly attentive. She is not stressed about it. She has set up the safe space for her to attend to her own needs and her infant's needs. And so she does not need to be constantly on the lookout or hyper-vigilant. This Emperor is looking off and squinting. And certainly the Emperor's energy is more than strong enough to protect, but when it does lean too heavily and starts to become more like the Emperor reversed, could be more hyper-vigilant and constantly looking for something to protect from, defend from, worry about, or stress about. There's an energy coming through, the energy of a conditioning or belief where you might feel like if you're not worried about something, you're missing something. If you're not stressed about something, you're doing something wrong and you're missing something that you really need to be aware of, when that's not the case. That's exactly the type of like hyperdrive, overdrive on the masculine, protective, defensive, vigilant, trying to figure things out or problem solve energy that we're being cautioned against leaning too much into. And again, the Emperor is upright, so you have a certain level of mastery of that energy. You know how to apply it. Trust your ability to use it when it's called for, and trust your discernment. Lean into your discernment and cultivate relaxed vigilance. I've referenced that in one of my past readings. I'm going to try to remember to actually link to some videos or articles about relaxed vigilance. There's a really cool YouTuber called Therapy in a Nutshell who has some videos about it, but she's certainly not the one who came up with it, and she gives credit to where she learned the concept from. It's this idea of cultivating the ability to be alert and focused and present while also having a relaxed nervous system, not needing to be in fight or flight to be alert. Cultivating the ability to be in parasympathetic nervous response, rest and digest. And actually how that relaxation actually serves your ability to be present more fully and be aware and alert to a wider scope of things than being in fight or flight. If you're stressed and putting all this energy, funneling all this energy into that stress response, it's actually going to distract you from the wider scope of things that you might notice, and with the feminine energy, be receptive to. And this is very fitting with the goddess, and the goddesses being the source of our guidance today for this reading. That they would, goddesses, of course, are beings that exemplify feminine energy. In order to have such stature and power and control as a goddess has to, in order to be a master or mistress of such vast energy, they do also have to have this Emperor energy, a certain level of, like I said, control, mastery, a certain level of self-direction. There's what humans would consider masculinity inherent in mastering the level of power that a goddess has. So they're coming through with this teaching moment about, you have a level of mastery here, trust that and lean back into it, instead of constantly being kind of hunched forward, leaning forward, trying to find the next thing to solve. Because you'll end up creating problems that you don't actually have. You'll end up nitpicking little things that would solve themselves if you lean back into the trust in your own discernment and into soothing and regulating your nervous system so that you can be more present and alert to and aware of a wider scope of things. Literally, physically, fight or flight will cause your central vision to take over so that your peripheral vision is actually not as sharp. Your focus is not as much neurologically on your peripheral vision when you're in fight or flight. When you're in rest and digest, your actual physical peripheral vision is stronger. You're able to notice the scenery, and that means you're able to notice both threats and opportunities that you wouldn't notice if you were in that fight or flight. So literally and metaphorically apply that lesson to your life. Okay. More messages from the Ostara Tarot, please, Spirit. Goddesses, what other guidance do you have for us today? Do you have more messages for us about these two cards? Or additional messages? Okay. We have the Empress in reverse. Interesting. I'd like to clarify this, goddesses. This seems pretty clearly also reinforcing what we just spoke to about this group. Okay, yes, I see. They're calling on me to clarify what I just said, make it a little bit more precise. So I was just saying how leaning too much into the masculine energy could block the feminine energy, but what I'm being called to make more precise about how I said that and make clearer, make it more accurate, is that this group has a very healthy mastery of the masculine energy, like we were just talking about. It's not that your masculine energy is poisoning you or that you're leaning into toxic masculinity. It's that you're being called to lean more into the feminine energy that you have available to you within yourself, including calling on goddesses for guidance for yourself. No wonder I was being called to get these messages through from the goddesses. There's a reminder here of masculine energy is not the only way to get things done. It's not the only form of power in this universe. It's not actually more powerful and more capable of getting things done than feminine energy. The Emperor and Empress are equals and equally capable with how we spoke about the competence and protection with the Queen of Pentacles. They might have, the Emperor and Empress have different focuses. There's more focus on a harvest with the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles, the steep earthy energy. It is specifically the Queen of Pentacles that came through from this group, not one of the other queens. And the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles both really exemplify Taurus energy, earthy, grounded, sowing your crops, watering them, and harvesting them energy. And protecting the fields is equally important. But if all of your energy is going into protecting your fields, you do not have energy left to actually harvest the crops. And they can end up rotting in the field. So there's that same message about like the relaxed vigilance is going to allow you to notice opportunities that you might pass up on if you were focused solely on your central vision instead of your peripheral vision. So, a little bit of noise outside started to distract me there. Tap me back in, Spirit. We were saying about, yes, it's not, with this group, it's not that your masculine energy is out of balance, it's that your feminine energy needs to be highlighted more, nourished more, and allowed to come out to play more, allowed to be utilized more. It's a mistake to think that because feminine energy is more passive and receptive and masculine energy is more active and goal-oriented. It's a mistake to think that because of that, you cannot actually actively utilize feminine energy. Doing things that allows you to relax back into a more receptive state is an active way to lean into your feminine energy. Creative pursuits where you actually open up space to receive inspiration and become a channel for that inspiration into artistic form or the form of your business, the form of plans. Meditation where you are making space for awareness of the present moment and of divine guidance to come through is actively tapping into feminine energy and the power that it has to get things done. Power is nothing more than the ability or capacity to accomplish or achieve or get the things you want to accomplish, achieve, or get. And there is equal power in the Emperor and the Empress, the feminine and the masculine. And each of us as an individual, just like how I was talking about, even goddesses have some masculinity in their mastery of their power. each of us as individuals is like a bird with two wings when it comes to femininity and masculinity. You're not going to be able to fly with just one or the other, no matter what this culture or society that we live in would like to tell you. Our culture would like to tell you that the only way to get things done is through this masculine energy, this planning, this focus. There are other types of focus. So do not burn yourself out, but open yourself up. I'm being told that there's more messages to come through from the Empress card, and being guided to pull more from the Astra Tarot. I always pronounce that a different way every single time I say it, so please don't be annoyed with me on that. Goddesses, what else do you have to tell us about this Empress in reverse? I just heard a very straightforward literal message, almost just a light, loving smack over the head of like, listen to us. These feminine energies are coming out in reverse, partly because this group has the ability, I'm being told very strongly, has the ability very much psychically to hear or otherwise receive messages from the goddesses, their spirit guides, and your ability to focus on getting things done is beautiful, but you need to tune out of that radio station and into the radio station of receiving messages from the divine more often, because they have stuff they want to tell you, specifically, individually, personally, in your day-to-day life. That's something you can tap into every single day while you're driving or taking a walk or doing the dishes. Change that radio station using meditation. Change that metaphorical radio station in your mind, heart, spirit to tune into receiving messages. For many of you, this may look like praying and being opening the space to, as we spoke about, receiving responses to your prayers from the divine. Ask your own specific questions and be open to the signs, synchronicities, and for some of you, clairaudient, clairvoyant, claircognizant, psychic messages, clairsentient messages that will come through in response. Your prayers are actually not going unanswered. Keep on praying and listen. Don't just pray and say, okay, that's it. Pray and listen for an answer. It's a conversation. And a lot of you already know that. For some of you, that may be a new way of thinking about prayer. A lot of you already know that and have already related in the past to prayer or meditation in that way, but have been perhaps forgetting recently to open that space to listen for a response. And to keep tapping back into that space over the next couple days after a specific prayer, so that you can notice the signs and synchronicities. Part of the message that's coming through with that message about, hey, if your peripheral vision is closed off because you're having tunnel vision, you're going to miss things. It's not just opportunities or threats, it's also answers to your questions, your meditations, your prayers that are trying to come through, that I'm being told this group has been missing recently, but can very easily tune back into and start to actually hear. And it's not that you'll never get that same answer again. It was a one-time only thing. The Spirit just wants you, these goddesses want you to start tuning back in now, so that it's easy for you to receive the messages. Because as we know, when you keep on tuning out messages, keep on tuning out answers, and keep on doing that, as the universe and your guides keep trying to bring through the answer that you asked for, it can become more disruptive if you're not noticing the gentler responses. Yes. And I'm being told that for this group, that's actually an even bigger message than the missing opportunities or missing threats because of the tunnel vision. It's you have questions, we have answers, but we need you to listen. We need you to open up this feminine space for receiving you don't even have to relate to it as feminine, just open up space for receiving. Not everything has to be gendered, but with this Emperor upright and the Queen and the Empress in reverse, it married it to speaking to the masculine feminine aspects. And trust keep coming through. And every time I look at the Emperor, I'm hearing, like, trust that your divine masculine energies are on lock and on point, and you don't need to keep, like, fine-tuning them or working them out or developing them. Like, you've got that part on lock. Now bring the other wing of the bird to full health so that you can, just like the infinity symbol or yin-yang symbol, where there's a constant flow between the two polarities, and that's what allows for a healthy, fluid, adaptable, responsive life. Just like that with the Magician card in tarot, it has that infinity symbol. And the Magician is a master of all elements, is able to flow with extreme ease and grace and responsiveness into whichever polarity is called for in any given situation. And you need to gently restore your feminine polarity to full health. Allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to receive, open up to divine guidance, so that you are able to, like the Magician, flow into whichever polarity is needed. And this radiance of the Empress will become very naturally yours, with that full spectrum of light becoming available to you as you tune into the full spectrum. Okay. Got another card here, just the one spirit? Okay. Oh, I love the wings on this. We were just talking about the wings on the bird. Come on. We have the Eight of Cups here. This is a fascinating bird-human creature. And it's such a fascinating representation of the Eight of Cups, because although these can definitely be steaming cups of water, it does rather look like fire and smoke, doesn't it? Not being able to see the forest for the trees with the haze of the mist or smoke there. Definitely the caution against burning out is coming through with that looking like fire, and also the same caution that we had before about clearing your vision instead of allowing it to be clouded. Clearing your vision and clearing space to receive messages with these clouds. Those are coming through, and it's definitely also confirmation of that message about the two wings of the bird and needing both to really fly high. Eagles and other birds of prey like this also fly so high up and have such sharp vision, so much sharper and keener than human vision. They can see so much more from such greater distances. They're huge distances above the ground and able to spot little mice on the ground. Humans could never, without the assistance of devices, of course. So there is another version of that message about the clarity of vision coming through with, like, zoom out, get the bird's eye view when you're confused, and also trust and lean on your spirit guides to give you a bird's eye view, because your spirit guides, these goddesses, are not necessarily omniscient, and they and you both have free will, so you have choices about how to apply their advice and their suggestions. But trust that your spirit guides do have a broader scope of awareness than you as a human do. They have access to more information, more data when it comes to answering your questions than you do. So when you're leaning back into that trust, remember that some things may not make sense at first, but will become clearer as you move forward and choose how to apply their advice. Some of their advice may not make sense until you start to move forward along the path. Walk by faith and not by sight. Trust in your own discernment, and when you've opened that safe space for messages to come through and you're able to discern that they are divinely guided messages, trust and follow through. And be open to seeing how applying that guidance is serving you. The Eight of Cups is often also a message about about walking away from a disappointing or unfulfilling situation where your needs weren't being met, where what you were giving was not being reciprocated. And with this particular Eight of Cups looking so smoky, there is an aspect of burning bridges. Some of you may have recently burned some bridges and have had some doubts about, some self-doubt. It's like you know why you burned the bridges, but you're still like, oh, did I react a little too extremely? Could I actually have salvaged that relationship, regardless of whether it's professional or personal? So I am getting confirmation for those of you for whom that resonates, which I'm hearing is not going to be everyone in this group, but for those of you for whom it does, this is confirmation that you did the right thing. You served yourself well, and you served your bigger picture, your divinely guided path and mission in this life well by walking away from what wasn't serving you. I'm also going to read the description for the Eight of Cups from this deck's guidebook. The keywords are disappointment, meditation, reevaluation, and lessons learned. Reevaluation is being highlighted for me, but I'm not sure why yet. Let's see what this says. A lone bird sits atop an isolated cliff. The Eight of Cups is a solitary card. You may be feeling disappointed in your efforts with a relationship or project. It is a time to pull away from others and clear your head. Carefully consider your endeavors. Meditation will help you decide whether to push forward or to move on. Remember, everything is a learning experience. Okay, I see. So with the reevaluation and then also the pulling away from others and clearing your head being highlighted here, there's a message for many of you in this group. And as always, take what resonates and leave the rest. But many of you in this group would be best served right now in terms of clearing the space and opening up to messages that you can truly trust. Many of you would be best served by taking some alone time rather than seeking out the guidance of other people or venting to others. Don't overdo it on that. Of course, connection and support from others is like one of the top vital ingredients for a good life as a human. So it's not saying self-isolate to a toxic degree, but take some time alone so that you can clear your head and really get in touch with what you feel, what you want. This is where the reevaluation comes in. Reevaluate what your own opinion, assessment, feelings, thoughts, etc. about the situation are, rather than allowing them to be clouded by the thoughts of others. This will also open up the space for your divine guidance to come in, but being in touch with your own heart is equally important. Having clear access to, no, this is really how I feel about this, regardless of and away from the influence of others. Even if person X feels this way and person Y feels that way and person Z thinks something even completely different, this is my truth. And that space to allow your emotions to rise up from within your heart and deliver your personal truth to you is key for this group. And also is the first step to opening up to that receptivity that we've been harping on so far. And getting access to that bigger picture, that clearer vision. All right. More messages from the tarot. Goddesses, goddess. What else does group 1 need to know? What other messages do we have for group 1? I love how the Empress has this nest in the hair and we have the bird there as well. Now, I'm being guided to take a closer look at that. I didn't even notice the songbird in the nest at first. This stillness and tapping into your own truths and heart to such a degree that you radiate security. The Empress is completely rooted. No one's knocking the Empress off her throne. And especially with that Taurus grounded earth energy, truly completely rooted. And that is one of the beautiful traits of feminine energy, actually, is wisdom. Is when the feminine energy gets really solid in their truth, like they feel really secure in it, it's completely unshakable. Yes, feminine energy is completely fluid, but think about the strength of water. You're not going to be able to move a waterfall or an ocean or a river. And similarly, when that feminine energy gets really solid, you're also not going to be able to move the earth. And that is a level of security that I think this group, what I'm being told is this group has been looking for that level of security, but trying to go about achieving it in this like logic, figure out the problem, solve the problem, move forward a masculine way. And you could burn yourself out if you keep trying to do that. The answer is what we've just laid out, where you tap into receiving your personal truth from your emotions. And when you really feel it from the inside out like that, there's no questioning it. It becomes an experience and a knowing instead of a belief. Like no one has to say they believe the sky is blue. No one has to say they believe that, gravity is keeping our feet on the ground. We feel it every single day. When you feel a truth well up from the inside out, you don't have to question whether you believe that. You just know because you felt it, you experienced it. And that is the feminine type of knowing and wisdom, as opposed to the masculine figuring something out type of knowing. Again, when it comes to real life situations, you cannot completely separate the two. You always have both going on within you at the same time. So I'm not trying to harp on the masculine feminine polarity too much, but elucidating this differentiation is very important. And this group is seeking, with the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles being in reverse, and then the Eight of Cups being this person who's this figure that's like floating off the ground and not grounded, but is looking down at the ground. This group is seeking that security, that groundedness, that sense of I really know who I am and what I'm for. And you're not going to find that looking out the way the Emperor is looking out. What the Emperor is doing is very important, but the Queen and the Empress, the Queen is looking within, closing the eyes, resting and feeling, not even looking so much as feeling. And the Empress has no hesitation or shyness about meeting your gaze, because she knows her security, her worth, her truth, fully grounded in that, because she's felt it from the inside out. And you can't, no matter what you say, no matter how insulting or rude you are to the Empress, you're not going to change that truth. She's just like the Eight of Cups, going to walk away from you if she can't. If you will not respect her. If you will not respect her and accept. So, that security of the Empress, with these having been in reverse, that security and groundedness is something this group has been looking for. And that is how you can tap into it and find that it has been within you all along. Turning your gaze and your focus inward and feeling from the inside out will show you the truths that your being really is rooted in. And from that place, just like a plant blossoms outward from the seed, grows up from the ground from within the seed, you can then express that truth outward into the world, and that will guide your actions instead of you looking externally for what should I do. And that's bringing us back to that message of a certain amount of solitude is needed for this group. It doesn't need to be huge amounts of time. You don't need to go into hermit mode for days on end, but you do need to be tuning into yourself and having that override the influence of others instead of the other way around. The security you are looking for, the truths you are looking for, some of which will surprise you and some of which won't. You need that space in order to let yourself be surprised by yourself, in order to allow your feelings to come into your awareness so that you can then choose how you're going to express those truths into your life. Okay. What other messages do we have for this group? Goddesses, goddess. Thank you for these messages, Spirit. Thank you for these messages, goddesses. This has been incredibly insightful, and I'm so grateful that I get to bring these through. Thank you. Okay. 7 of Pentacles, and I believe this did come out in reverse. Spirit, is that correct that that's in reverse? I'm also making sure I have the space for this to come out. Okay, Seven of Pentacles in reverse. They're so cute, these little raccoons, but I'm also getting how it's like all these little beady eyes are looking hungrily at you. So I think this might be clarification on the tune into yourself and give yourself permission to ignore the voices of others, and when necessary to burn bridges, because this group has some external pressures coming from people who don't have your best interests at heart. People, situations, employers, companies, whatever it is, that don't have your best interests at heart. They're just looking for what they can get from you. Money grubbing and money hungry are even coming through. But for some of you, it's not money, it's your energy, it's your other resources. You have a wealth of internal resources, wisdom, energy, guidance. And there's a strong energy coming through of like, if you let them, these people will drain you dry. And you'll have nothing left for you. And you actually need, want, and deserve these resources for yourself. The Seven of Pentacles is a card of diligence and study, and we want to be turning this energy upright and pouring those energies into yourself, into your pursuits that you actually want to have a passionate drive for, that you actually want to see with the Pentacles material results from. Your energy needs, I'm really getting needs, like not just deserves, but really needs to be going into those pursuits that are yours, and not where everyone else thinks they should be going or where everyone else is asking for them. And yeah, with the Eight of Cups, some of you are going to be burning a bridge with a people or, a situation or what have you that is just trying to pull and pull and pull from you and take from you, and is not nourishing you in return, is not giving you anything back. Others of you, it might be more like a family or another group of people where you do care and you would like to stay aware of, how they're doing, because you would help in an emergency. But really strong boundaries need to be set of like cutting people off. No, I'm not giving you more money. I'm not helping you more with this project. I actually have other things I need to be doing. There are plenty of situations, with family, friends, etc., where someone really needs help, and giving them help or money more than once is not enabling them. But for this group, for at least one person in this group, but it's such a strong message that I think it must be for multiple people. There's a really, really strong message of like, to continue to help this person would be to enable them. Stop. You're not actually serving them in addition to not serving yourself. You need to be pouring this energy, this money, etc. into you, your life. Relationships that actually feed you back, not into enabling addictions that are going to act like a black hole, or if it's not addictions, whatever it is, just someone making very poor choices, because there are plenty of people, not saying that people who have made poor choices with money don't deserve second chances and even third chances. There are plenty of people who are actively learning and just are making mistakes and fumbling while they learn, regardless of whether it's with money or with energy or with relationships. But there's a real strong sense with this whole, and just this sense of like these beady eyes being never ending, right? There's just such a strong message coming through for this group of like, this person is not changing, this situation is not changing, cut them off. And depending on who you are in your unique situation, that might mean burning the bridge completely, or it might mean you're going to keep tabs on them. You'll help if there's an emergency, but you're not just helping every day anymore. You're not giving them rides. That's specific, but that was definitely a channeled message and not an example coming from my mind. You're not giving them rides. You're not, I just got this message about someone like driving 40 miles out of their way to give someone else a ride. Like, no, that's ridiculous. They can take the bus, they can get a bike, that the type of support that's like, yeah, I'm going to help you get a bike so you no longer need me and then I'm out, that type of support, okay. Continuing to drive 40 miles out of your way and when they're not paying you for gas or anything is gonna stop. And this is very like gently taking you by the shoulders, sitting you down and being like, this is going to stop energy from the goddesses coming through right now, the goddesses who are coming through right now. This is not an option. This is not up for negotiation. This needs to stop. And you might just be amazed at how having all that energy back for yourself is going to really pour into those roots and open up the space for the alone time that we were talking about, and really allow those roots of security in yourself, your truths, how you feel, what you want, what you're doing with your life to really grow strong. I think that's why I was guided to put this under the Empress, because this relationship is part of why these feminine energies are in reverse right now. You're trying to protect yourself from this situation, scenario, or individual, but you're still giving them too much access to you and to your resources to be able to protect yourself. You got to cut them off, and that will allow you to actually functionally protect yourself and pour that energy into nourishing your roots. And that physical, energetic feeling I'm getting of your roots being nourished is such an incredible relief. So much sunshine as well with the glowing from the Empress. You'll be amazed at how radiant you are able to become after a little bit of time away from this draining situation. Okay. More messages. Is there anything else that Group 1 needs to know about that specific situation? Or if not, do we need to bring through messages for them about anything else? Goddesses, please and thank you. What else, goddesses? I'm laughing because I just got told by one of these goddesses to shuffle more vigorously. Okay, here we go. Which way is this card coming out? Okay. The Sun. What was I just saying about radiance? So interesting, because this being is so radiant themselves, and it almost looks like they have the sun on a staff. But there's also, with the message that we just had, there's a sense of, like this being in the card, are kind of turning away from the sun and hiding your eyes from it with a helmet. And what you need to do is actually turn back towards the fact that you have the sun on a stick. Like, you have all of this power within you and all of this radiance within you. Own it, use it, instead of turning away and hiding your gaze from it. And this being also has wings. Do not hide the wings. They also have gorgeous hair, but at first the wings almost aren't even noticeable because it's like they're hidden a little bit. So no more hiding the light, no more hiding the wings, no more hiding the power to fly away from the situation, fly up to get a bird's eye view, fly up so that you can come back down and hunt your prey, hunt your mouse. You have so much power within you and at your disposal, with this being like a staff of power or a weapon. You have so much power at your disposal. Use it. Do not shy away from using it, including words like no. Stop seeking permission. Solar plexus, third chakra, Manipura chakra energy coming through here with that. Own your free will. Own your ability to say no, say yes. Say yes to yourself. And shine and radiate. Radiating power doesn't mean ceasing to radiate kindness. With this balance of masculine and feminine that we've been talking about, radiate both. Radiate your truth. Like, yes, this is coming back to what we said before about finding your truth by feeling within for it and allowing it to express outward. This is very much confirmation of that. And that will guide you in terms of what to say yes to and what to say no to. If you're mentally having trouble figuring out, like, is it going to damage me? Is it going to be helpful or unhelpful if I try to keep helping in this situation? Or is this way of helping okay? Is that way of helping okay? Take a pause. Maybe don't say yes or no yet, or maybe say, no, let me think about a different way I can help you instead and get back to you. You know, definitely with this specific situation that was coming through, do not hesitate to say no. That we already covered that. But in situations in general, don't hesitate to say, let me pause and get back to you. Let me think about that and get back to you, so that you have the space to tap into those feelings, let them come up from within, so that you can express them with ease. You can express them very naturally. It's not going to take a whole lot of effort. The same way that we were talking about, it's not a belief, it's an experience. You don't have to think about it, you know, because you feel it. When you feel it from the inside out, you don't have to think so hard about what to do in the situation. You follow your knowing, you follow your gut. It's a specific type of impulse that's not the same as taking foolhardy impulsive action. It's this incredibly grounded, look how knowing that spark is on the face of that sun card. They know exactly what they're doing. And when you're so grounded in the truth, you don't have to question yourself. You can have the same confidence. This feels like a promise of the reward for kind of dealing with the slightly trickier, rockier parts of creating space to allow your truths to come up and feeling your feelings and saying no. Getting to shine like that and feel so secure and grounded and radiant. And really have it be your authentic truth that is being expressed into all facets of your life, rather than doing a bunch of things that you don't really want to do. And feeling drained and depleted and withered by that is really, really key here. And that's your reward, your motivation. You can actually have that. You already have all the means for it within you. And that's not trite, you know, it's not one of those, spiritual bypassing you. You already have everything you need within you. No, that's not true for everything. But for this particular thing that you want, you do have everything that you need, all of the means to get to this end within you, because the sun is already within you. Channeling it through your wand is what you need to take these steps to do. And I'm starting to get the winding down feeling, so we're getting close to the end of the messages for today, which means we are done with the Ostara Tarot. But I'm being drawn to the Spirit Song Tarot to bring through more messages before we are actually done. This is what the Spirit Song Tarot looks like, in case you are not familiar. Alright, time to get a shuffle in. What else, goddesses? What are our final messages for group 1? There's a sense that the message that was coming through with the 7 of Pentacles and the Sun is complete, so I'm grateful that I was able to bring that message through to completion, to its entirety. What else are we bringing through for this group? Okay, we have the Queen of Swords in reverse, the Queen of Feathers, perception, truth. So interesting. Okay, so we have another flying figure, and I was being guided to put this right under the Queen of Pentacles. So we have the Earth Queen and the Air Queen here. And just like we were talking about with the eagle having the keen sight, that is one of the hallmarks of the Queen of Swords, is this piercing insight that can see through any lies, any deceptions. So there is a message there, that kind of confirmation, reiteration, emphasis here on what we were saying before about how opening up the space and getting grounded in your truth will allow you to see clearer, see through people who may not have your best interests at heart, situations where facts and truths might be being obscured and people might be trying to present things in a certain way to hide other things. The light of the sun is undeniable. You can't hide from that. and you are being guided to become like that, where you're able to cut through things with your intuition and your insight and see more. The sun also radiates out in all directions, and we were talking before about the peripheral vision. So the Queen of Swords is often, because of the nature of a sword, kind of seen as this laser focus, like this single pointed focus, this single pointed focus of sight and truth. But there is also a sense here of being able to cast that sharp perception in any direction, not having blind spots. Okay, yeah, there's a message here about, with the Queen of Swords coming out in reverse, about having a blind spot right now, that this process of getting grounded and feeling your personal truth and expressing them will reveal to you. Spirit, goddesses, are we bringing through more about this blind spot now? Yes, with another, okay. Being called to draw more from the spirit songs so that we can bring through more information about this blind spot for you. Okay, so we have strength in reverse, courage, endurance. Okay, so with the sun and with these other reversed energies, there's definitely a message that one of your blind spots is how strong you are. You don't realize how strong you are, how much power you have, how much power you wield, how capable of courage and bravery and endurance and strength you are. Okay. I was feeling uncertain about where to put it. It did feel like it kind of lined up with the Emperor, because that does represent some of the strength that we've already spoken to that you have. But the Elephants is also how we were talking about both kindness and strength radiating from you, kindness and power with the sun. The Elephant exemplifies that very well, as does the Strength card in the tarot. So there is also a message about, this is a much more tangential message. It's kind of like this group isn't necessarily in danger of doing this, but be aware that you don't have to fall into being mean in order to own your power and claim your power and tell people where to go when people need to go shove it. You can set that boundary like the unassuming stomp of an elephant, where you are standing your ground, putting your foot down. You're not up for negotiation. It's not flexible, but it's simply unshakable without needing to be violent. I think for some of you, the blind spot to your own strength and power and courage is coming from thinking that you would have to set boundaries in a way that was mean or violent or wrong, goes against your own personal morals, in order to set those boundaries at all. So there's a call to untangle where those beliefs come from, who treated you that way when you were a child. A lot of time those beliefs do come from having people around you, adults around you as a child, where your only examples are people either walking all over others or allowing themselves to be walked all over. And those are not your only two options. And that blind spot is being brought to your awareness so that you can own your strength and your power to its fullest extent, because that, context does also matter, because there are things you can do in defense of yourself, in protection of what you love, that would be violent in a different context, but are self-defense in that context. So not beating yourself up for having those not only natural but crucial responses of self-defense is very important, and actually allowing yourself to let those responses loose instead of holding back the rays of the sun and holding back your personal truth. And also setting yourself free to have more ways of claiming your boundaries and expressing yourself and saying no than you realized you had available to you. I love how the elephant's ears also look like wings when we've had all this talk about wings before. Even the horns on the emperor look a little bit like wings, or the horns on this bull. That sense of having both roots and wings is very important for this pile. You can have both. You don't have to just choose one or the other. Similar to how for some of you, it's not that you have to either burn the bridge with this person or keep things the way they've been at the status quo. You can change your relationship. For many of you, like I said, if you need to burn the bridge, go for it. If you've already done it, you have confirmation from these goddesses that you did the right thing. For those of you where that's not what you want, that's not what's going to work for you, you are being shown today that you have a third option. You can change the relationship you have with this person by not settling for less than what you actually are okay with. Okay, and I think we're going to get one more card from the Spirit Song. One final message for Group 1, Spirit Goddesses. What else does Group 1 need to know? What else are you wanting to reveal to Group 1? Is there something else about this blind spot that you're wanting to bring through, goddesses? Okay. The 6 of Shells, the 6 of Cups, Sentiment and Joy. We have the Otters here. That did come out in reverse. And when the 6 of Cups is in reverse, it often indicates an unhealthy type of nostalgia and a healthy type of lingering in the past. The 6 of Cups is also a cup of family. When it's upright, it can indicate like really positive reunions, inner child joy, family joy, familial joy. But with it being in reverse, and we have the father and mother figure of the Emperor and the Empress here, and we were just talking about that sort of narcissist codependent dynamic as well. For some of you, this 7 of Pentacles reverse situation is definitely a family situation, or a family member that you need to either cut off or set boundaries with, or both. You know, cut off from certain resources or certain access to you, even if you're not cutting them off completely. But with these Queens in reverse and the Empress in reverse, but then the Emperor upright, Spirit, help me articulate the many layers of this message. We were just talking about, with the Strength card, the examples that were set for you in your childhood. So this is confirming that for some of you, you are still upholding or following examples that were set for you by your parents with the Emperor and the Empress. Especially examples where the feminine energy was suppressed, or it was not safe to be in a receptive energy, or where the masculine energy was glorified, even if it wasn't necessarily oppressing the feminine energy. It was glorified and the feminine energy was just kind of seen as meh. For some of you, these dynamics are... No, that's not what I want to say. I was about to say something, but that's not, I can feel it's not accurate. There's a sense of like these dynamics haunting you, and they're being kind of dregs from the past that are still weighing you down. So changing your relationship, whether it is with a family member or a professional relationship or whatever it is, changing that relationship or cutting it off is part of rinsing out those dregs and recycling the debris to fertilize your new crops, your new way of being. And for a lot of you, with having these blind spots to your own power, recognizing how what was modeled to you in the past and how you were taught to be in the past is contributing to that disowning of your power, recognizing that is key to re-owning your power for a lot of you. With the way these otters are, they glide and slip and slide so effortlessly, and there's so much joy to them. So as much as there are rocky patches when it comes to feeling your feelings, like we talked about earlier, and recognizing elements from the past and owning your power and changing your relationships in the present, as much as there are rocky parts of this, the overwhelming feeling is that this will flow very naturally. This isn't actually this huge effort on your part. It's more about allowing it to flow and not second guessing yourself. Just like the rivers just flow upstream or downstream. They flow with the current rather than trying to fight upstream. And I just got this image of this otter like just starting back very quickly upstream to retrieve something they left behind and then flowing back downstream. So there's a sense of you retrieving an aspect of yourself or your power that you left in the past because you suppressed it, because your power wasn't welcome or your femininity wasn't welcome, your, so on and so forth. Anything that didn't fit that unhealthy masculine feminine dynamic was not welcome. So going back and retrieving that and simply allowing yourself to then be carried downstream with it. It might feel like a little bit of a fight, but it's going to give way very quickly to this natural flow of like, you know what, I know this is my truth. I know these are the next steps. This is the divine guidance. This is the path that I am walking by faith and not by sight. Allow yourself to be carried by those currents. And in a joyful way, rewriting the narrative of those relationships and dynamics allows you to recover the joy from your inner child instead of having it be suppressed or overshadowed by the things that were difficult about your childhood. Rather than having the unhealthy dynamics that you were modeled or that you learned tamp down the joys of your emotions, the things that you have sentimental nostalgia for, the things that you have passion for. You can actually retrieve those sentimental joys and be carried along by that joy like that bubbling brook. There's a lot of gentleness in this reading. The Strength card is often about how you do not tame the lion in a violent way. You tame the lion with gentleness. That's often how the traditional Strength card, what it represents, what it indicates. And there's so much, like, you don't need to be violent with yourself. You don't need to go blasting through. Just, yes, here we go. I was trying to find the right words for what I'm trying to express here, and it comes back to what we said before about how when feminine wisdom leans back into what they know from the inside out, it's completely solid and unshakable. That is gentle strength, and that is what you are being called to call on to get things done in your life right now, rather than burning yourself out. Again, trust your discernment so that you can flow into the more masculine, fiery energy, the more forward-moving, seeking energy when it's actually called for. But right now, relax back into feeling your feelings and allowing the truth to grow solid instead of nebulous, and use that solidity, that unshakability of, no, I'm not actually gonna negotiate this. No, this is actually what I want. Say yes to that and wield that strength, that gentle security, that rooted solidity. Wield that to manifest things into reality. That's how you're going to take your nebulous desires and solidify them. This slow and steady, this gentle. I am getting that imagery of that vision, that feeling of these nebulous clouds, like the ones in the Eight of Cups, being manifested into solidity. This is the feminine type of manifestation rather than the masculine go-getter type of manifestation. If you're into manifestation, law of attraction stuff, it's settling so solidly into the truth of what you want and allowing that desire to crystallize, that truth, whether it's what you want or some other truth, to crystallize so clearly and so purely, allowing it to become such a pure vibration and holding your focus on it, holding your security in it, rooting yourself so much in it, that by the nature of gravity, magnetism, the law of attraction or the law of mirroring, the universe, the energies, like in the Magician card, are pulled into the orbit of that crystallized pure vibration that you are so rooted and solid in. And that energy that you've purified and crystallized has no choice but to attract more of itself until it becomes a truly manifested desire. And yes, that's going to call for some actions from you, but it's going to be different than the actions that are like the go-getter forward-moving actions. It's the actions of continuing to solidify and affirm and declare for yourself, yes, this is what I want, this is what I'm going after. I'm going to keep growing this right here and allowing the flower to attract the bees. I'm going to keep watering the flower right here, fertilizing the flower right here. I'm not going out to get the bees. I'm taking care of this so that it draws in the bees. And Spirit, can we clarify, is there anything else we can bring through in terms of sort of like how to go about doing that? Like what this group's next steps are? Because it feels like there's a little bit of a point of confusion there, just in terms of like, okay, I get the concept, but how does that actually look different from if I kept going on the more go-getter, forward-moving, fiery, burning myself out path? Okay, one way that looks is you're going to take actions based on your intuition and your divine guidance instead of based on what you think you should do or what other people think you should do. You're going to go within for your next steps instead of going without. That is the main crucial difference, actually, is what I'm getting, is that go within for guidance instead of looking outside of yourself for guidance. They're saying the next steps are going to be so different for each individual in this group that it is the going within that you really need. Okay. I truly hope that I brought that through clearly enough. The goddesses are saying that I did, but I did feel like it took a lot of words to get to that ultimate message of like, this is how you take your nebulous desires that you want to manifest and bring them into reality by allowing them to crystallize and become solid and real. Very similar with the Empress. The Empress is often depicted as pregnant, so it's very similar to how a feminine being or any being who is pregnant is not like it's the baby is within. The Empress has to, eat the nutrients in order to deliver them to the baby. They're not going out and doing something external. It's all an inside job. And then it's born into the external reality. So yes, I hope those different metaphors that I've channeled through have helped make these messages clear for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you to the goddesses for bringing through these messages today. I truly hope this has helped. Don't hesitate to comment with how it has resonated or how it has helped. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I love hearing from you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.